Finding Myself, a Journey of Rediscovery. I am 27 years old. 2 years ago, I married Jack, a man I deeply loved and believed was my soulmate. In the beginning, everything felt like a dream. We were partners in every sense, excited to build a life together. Jack was attentive, kind, and full of warmth. He made me feel special, like I was the most important person in his world. Every day felt like a new adventure. We'd talk for hours about our dreams, make plans for the future, and laugh until our cheeks hurt. But as time passed, the cracks began to show. At first, they were small, almost unnoticeable. A critical comment here, a sharp tone there. I told myself it was just stress, maybe work was overwhelming him, or he was adjusting to married life. Everyone said the honeymoon phase doesn't last forever, so I thought this was normal. But the changes didn't stop. One evening, after I suggested we take a weekend trip, Jack snapped. "You're so selfish," he said, his voice laced with frustration. "All you think about is yourself." I was taken aback. I wasn't trying to be selfish. I thought a trip might help us reconnect. But instead of bringing us closer, my suggestion seemed to push us further apart. As the days turned into months, the criticisms became a daily occurrence. No matter what I did, it felt like it was never enough. "You never think about my family," he said one morning after I forgot to call his mother. "You're always spending money on useless things," he added when I bought a new dress for work. "Why are you so lazy?" he asked when I decided to sleep in on a Saturday. His words started to chip away at me. The confident, happy woman I once was began to fade. I second-guessed every decision, every word, every action. I lived in constant fear of disappointing him. I tried harder. I cooked his favorite meals, kept the house spotless, and made sure to ask about his day, even when he rarely asked about mine. I stopped spending time with friends, thinking it would make him feel more valued. But no matter how much I gave, it was never enough. One night, after yet another argument, I sat alone in our bedroom, tears streaming down my face. "What is wrong with me?" I whispered. "Why can't I make him happy?" Jack walked in and saw me crying. Instead of comforting me, he sighed. "This is exactly what I mean," he said. "You make everything about you. You're so dramatic." I felt a pang of guilt. Was he right? Was I being dramatic? I wiped my tears and told myself to try harder. But deep down, I was breaking. One day, after weeks of feeling invisible, I confided in a close friend over coffee. She listened quietly as I poured out my heart. When I finished, she took my hand and said, "You don't seem like yourself anymore." Her words hit me like a ton of bricks. She was right. I had lost myself. The woman who once loved painting, reading, and spending time in nature was gone. I had become a shadow of the person I used to be, constantly bending and twisting to meet Jack's expectations. That night, I looked at myself in the mirror and hardly recognized the woman staring back at me. My eyes were tired, my smile was forced, and my spirit felt crushed. It was then that I made a decision. I needed to take care of myself. The next morning, I started small. I went for a walk in the park, letting the crisp morning air fill my lungs. I stopped at a cafe and treated myself to a cup of coffee, something I hadn't done in months. At first, it felt strange. Guilt lingered in the back of my mind. Would Jack be upset if he knew I was doing something for myself? But as the days went on, the guilt began to fade. I started journaling, pouring my thoughts and feelings onto the page. I picked up my old paintbrush and let my emotions flow onto the canvas. Jack noticed the changes. "You're different," he said one evening. "What's going on?" "I'm trying to take care of myself," I replied. "I can't keep living like this, Jack. I need to find happiness again, for me." He didn't understand. "So now you're saying I'm the problem?" he asked, his tone defensive. "It's not about blame," I said. "It's about me finding myself again." Our conversations became tense. Jack wasn't used to me standing up for myself. He accused me of changing, of not caring about him anymore. But for the first time in a long time, I didn't back down. One evening, after another heated discussion, I told him the truth. "Jack, I love you," I said, my voice trembling. "But I've lost myself in this marriage. I've spent so much time trying to make you happy that I've forgotten how to make myself happy. I need to focus on me now." He didn't say anything. For a moment, I thought he might walk away. But instead, he just looked at me, his expression unreadable. In the days that followed, I continued to prioritize myself. I reconnected with old friends, spent more time outdoors, and even started taking a yoga class. It wasn't easy. Jack's reactions were mixed. Sometimes he seemed supportive, but other times he seemed resentful. I realized that loving myself wasn't selfish, it was essential. I couldn't pour from an empty cup. There are still moments of doubt. I don't know what the future holds for my marriage. But one thing is clear, I deserve to be happy. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm becoming the person I was always meant to be. I'm learning to love myself, to embrace my imperfections, and to stand tall in the face of adversity. No matter what happens, I know this, I am enough. I always have been, and I always will be.